Great. Okay, let's try it there. Should be okay. Great. Tilt a little bit. I'm just going to go this way. Okay. Right. Let's bow it. Great. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
All right. We'll just do just a little bit. Just loosen out the body. Okay, loosen out. Got to play with the arms a little bit, just allow yourself to tension the hands. Yeah. Hey. Just tension out. Hello. Tension out the hands to the side. Oh, my head's really off. I'm going to put this camera up. There we go. Okay, just out to the side. The side sets up, kind of pulls a little bit through the hands. A little bit to the top. Put it out to the front. Let the arms come down again. Really loosen them out. Take the body to one side, one leg at a time. Release out the arm. And back to the middle. Gently sideways. A little bit split in the legs, dividing the legs. To the center, just split them and put them together. And to the center again. Let the toes find the ground, heels straight down. Allow yourself just to settle in. A little weight down. Okay, let's just roll out the wrists.
Upstairs. No, go.
That's okay. Roll the other way. At the elbows. Change. You roll the shoulders. Forwards.
Hi,
Hello.
Hello.
It's different.
It's different. Okay, just working the neck, like side to side. Bring the elbows in, a little bit of rotation through the chest. Whoosh. Whoosh. Legs off, rotating to a back fist, really release the hips. Nice heavy hand as you do it. Using the fist, open up the side of the body like you're doing a double fist into the head, go to the ribs, just stretching out the body as well. Bring yourself back, press in the same way. A few on each side. Yeah, finding the direction. Oh, great, rolling the hips. And changing. Good, circling the knees. Change direction. Wake up the toes a little bit. It's like kind of bending down with the ball of the foot. Okay, the other side. Lifting the foot up, just play with opening and closing the toes. There we go. Better leg. Good. A little bit of kicking work. So just work the knees, just one leg forward, just bringing the leg up, the knee up, and just bring it down. Keeping the arms out, shoulders shrugging towards the back, and raise the knee to the hand. Bring it back down. Good. Hitching your leg. Okay, just be careful a little bit with this one. You're going to do this with a straight leg, just kind of raising it up. Keep the hip kind of loose. Don't go high. Don't go beyond your comfort level. So just kind of getting the leg up, up, back down, up, back down, back down. Watch out! One, back down. That's so nice. So,
Yes.
great. Another leg.
In the middle.
Yeah. Good. Okay, then go into an actual kick with this. So you do one leg again, bring the knee up, in this case, bring the knee up, and then inject the foot, bring it back, and then snap it back down. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, and back. Just looking to coordinate. Balance and coordinator. So, great, keep going. Nice, great. Great. Very nice. Very nice. Great, and then change to the other legs. You bring it up, reach out, come back. Reach out, snap it back. Reach out, snap it back. So, great, keep it going. That's great. That's there we go. Okay, good. Just a little bit opening the sides of the leg, so it's a little bit like a kind of pendulum. So you're going to kind of open the leg up. Come around a little bit. Just take it from one height. So you take it one leg, settle it, take it to the other, to the other, the other, to the other, to the other. It's just kind of getting the mobility, not really a stretch. It's nice and free to do it. Nice and balanced in the grounding leg. Great, keep going. Nice. Great. Yeah, very nice. Okay, great. Very nice. Great. So take this to a kick out. This, although you can obviously do this as a side kick, what we tend to do is when we do use this as an attempt, generally going to be for the leg. So generally like below the leg to the below the knee, towards the ankle, and even onto the shin, like onto the ankle. Sorry, like straight down onto the ankle bone. So this doesn't have to be high, and actually, it's actually better when you use this. Actually, it's never really going to be high. So think in this case, you've got the leg in the ground. Roll the hip up this way, and then think about the injection of the knee to the foot that way, and then snap it back. So you bring it up this way, bring it up, and then snap it down that way. So that if you imagine you're basically striking into the knee or onto the chin through the ankle. Basically, it doesn't need to be high. Actually, what matters is weight always. So you're going to do that by balancing the structure. You have to apply weight through the foot. Just play a little bit there. It rolls up. Bam. So, great. Great. Okay. Okay, let's go to another ones working with the elbows. So if you've got the fist that we use a lot, and obviously you've got elbows, which we don't tend to use too much in Aikido, although a lot of them are very obvious when you're working in very close spaces. So a lot of these 𝘱𝘰𝘪𝑎 lead very naturally into elbow work. And basically whenever I'm really close to the body. So there's a few examples we've got in the system where we're doing it. But just play the first one, just play with the kind of elbow that comes out that way, and you get grounding the body down. Just allow yourself to just roll the elbow and just keep everything else kind of light and think like kind of heavy with the elbow. So you kind of roll up from the hip, roll up from the hip, roll up from the hip. Just play with a few both sides, a few on one side, or you can just alternate it. Obviously, we use this movement actually a lot as well in terms of receiving as well. So you can also think of this as a roll across the body. But the other use of it is that I can make it a bit sharper and it becomes a strike with it. So the movement in this case, let's see. Yeah, nice deal. Wham. Yeah, wow, good. Very nice. Very nice. Good. Wham.
If I remember correctly, the term is NP.
NP. Yeah. NP. Yeah, I think you might be right. I think you're right. NP. Okay. Although you're doing it solo, obviously, so you don't really have a target with it, but just watch it. A lot of people, when they do elbow strikes, they actually hit with the elbow bone, like the sharp bit of the bone, which is okay. It's quite a hard part of the bone, but also you can really damage it. It's got lots of nerve clusters in it as well. So the big part of the forearm is actually more of a kind of forearm strike as well. So you're hitting with part of the forearm, the bone, basically, the arm, rather than the kind of tip of it. Obviously, you can use the tip, but think about the strike in this case, which could actually be delivered this way from the body. And it's actually useful if you think of this. Generally, they're going to be close quarters, right? The elbows, because if there's someone very close to the body, so you want the ability to be able to expand the strike out from the body, right? Out from the body. So imagine someone's like pressing onto the body. I'm going to use the elbows to get them, make some space away from them. Maybe I can go onto a grab or something like this. So again, quite explosive. In this case, if you're at distance, the elbow is going to make contact at that point. But the whole of the movement should feel kind of powerful in a sense. I don't want to feel like any striking way. I don't want to feel that the power's all in that point. You want to feel that the power is actually in the whole movement. Same thing we do with weapon work. Nice. Yeah, great. Yeah. So the other direction you can use is the upwards direction. So the elbow kind of coming up. That's got two uses. I use that very similar area, that part, and I use that coming up. And the other use of this direction is also coming down with it, which is generally going to be on the back of the head. If you think of someone like shooting for the legs, coming in for a tackle, this is a very easy strike, which is just going to go to the back of the neck. Really a very nasty blow, actually. And with weight down on it, it's just a feeling that you can drop the weight down through it. But yeah, I'm not using the point of the elbow, but using in that case, the back side of the arm of the elbow here. It's like that flat surface coming down onto it. So just play with this. You've got the raise in that movement. It's going to kind of brush up across the ear, and then the downwards movement that's going to kind of just close in, and that's going to be quite a close movement, but again follows the same idea. Like all parts of the movement are but useful and powerful in a sense. The main problem with this is the tendency to do like this. I go through the movement and then I go like bam, add power at the end. Or I go up to the movement and then bam, I add power at the end. But think of it all as kind of power. So every inch of it or every centimeter is power in terms of connection, structure, balance, all that kind of stuff. That's it. Great. That's it. Getting the other elbow that we tend to use is can be used for two things. Can be used from the side. I'm going to kind of adjust the body and then strike at the side. It's very similar movement is used for the back. So you've got this kind of pull back. Now it just really depends on the orientation of the body. If I imagine I'm kind of going in at the side and I've got this strike here, or if I imagine someone's at the back, I kind of rotate into it, and then you've got this strike here. But yeah, they're using the same part of the arm, which is basically just below the tricep in a sense. So coming through, you've got the kind of sideways motion here. Again, this is heavy, and you've got this backwards motion coming heavy. That would generally be like working with a 𝘱𝘰𝘀𝘪𝘏𝑒. You're either rotating through and you've got a strike, or whenever we don't often do it because it's without the ATEMI doesn't work. But if you think about sliding across the front of someone's body, as you rotate, you need to cover that with a strike with the elbow. Otherwise, as I rotate across the body, I'm exposing the back of the body. So during that rotation, I'm basically including a strike in it, which protects me, hopefully. And I strike to the back of the head. So just play this basically the direction side, direction back, side, direction back. That. So. And in terms of connecting this to weapon work, if you think about all your 𝘱𝘰𝘪𝑜 you make with the 𝘗, so anytime you're making a backwards injection of the arm, this is also that same kind of pattern. So backward injection of the arm. That way, is you're really working that same connection. Good. So the idea with the ATEMI work is that it's not a separate system. It's really building on the work we do, mostly from the weapon work. So, great. Great. Okie dokie. So we'll just look at the last few. So just a little bit of striking work. So just with the fist. So just getting the fist into a kind of tight ball, but just feel that the joint's still kind of free. So the first thing, just work one side in the first case, and really find that fist shape. If you're from any kind of karate school, you might have a tendency to bring the front knuckle out, the second knuckle out in that kind of fist. But otherwise, just keep the feeling of the fist's kind of big and heavy, kind of full. And then feel that the joint system's basically free, and then just play with just lightly, just explore different parts of the hand. So you've obviously got the front, the knuckles, you've got the back of the hand, and you've got the hammer fist, basically. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Just kind of play with them a little bit. The key thing is feeling it's heavy, and that it's kind of there's a slight kind of give through the joint, not that it's rigid and it's kind of putting all that tension in. Just play with one side a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, good. Okay. This is a nice one actually play with the wall, but you can do this also with the hand. So just play with this. I do the same exercise. I inject the fist in, that kind of feeling. Now what you want to feel is that you're applying pressure not with the arm here, but from the ground. So feel that the feet and the hip basically drive the strike through. So just like so, you're basically using this hand as a kind of feedback, as if it was a wall or a makiwara. You're kind of striking it, and then just feel that the hip's actually connecting. Now, if it's not connected, it's going to increase tension in the upper body and the shoulder. So allow yourself to sink, settle down, connect that, and then just gently press through it. It's basically the same dynamic as you do with a push. So injecting the body weight from the ground, basically. And try all the different fist or the different positions as well. So the back of the fist also coming in. It's quite a tricky one, but you can do it from that as well if you think about uraken, that kind of position, and the feeling that the hip is actually lighting into the connection and then kind of sending it out this way. Lighting into the connection and hips release it out. Yeah. And then you've also got the hammer fist, which can be used, generally going to be used down, coming down onto it, down onto the arm, but same kind of feeling. This is a really good one because if I increase pressure in the arm, it's going to do that. It's going to do that. I want to feel that I drop the weight into it back. Is it deep down? That's great. And once you've explored the hand, just play with both. Play with the other hand. Just explore the kind of injection. Explore the possibilities with the fist. And once you've got it, play with also pressing through it, connecting hand. Feel the weight pressing through it. Weight pressing through it. Weight pressing through it. Pressing through it. Just play with it a little bit. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, perfect. Okay. And then just explore a little bit again with the fist. Think of examples when you do taijutsu work where you include a ATEMI in it. So there's some really kind of obvious examples of using the fist as we do strikes. So if you think about any time we're going to the side in like Katatedori, you're using the raken, or when you're coming for 𝘱𝘰𝘠𝘦𝘦 and you can use the fist here, and I go for the ribs below this way. You've got in 𝘭𝘰𝘬𝘪𝘊 coming from the side, using that fist as a kind of classic Aikido ATEMI. But really anything include ATEMI work, just play with it. The key for us is that ATEMI is usually the distraction work. So I'm going to use it to take the attention so that I can go into a grip, or it's going to be used to distort the structure so that it will facilitate the technique. But it's not going to be used in a way which is where I'm going to, the main part of the ATEMI is I don't want to trade blows with someone. So I need the ATEMI to be effective, but and enable me basically to go to a control or a pin or a throw. I don't want to be in a position where I'm kind of trading blows with anybody. So they need to be not just strikes to vital areas. So that's always the key with ATEMI. Not just about hitting, striking. It's about applying a strike to a vital point of the body. Eyes are great. Floating ribs are great. All these kind of weak areas of the body that you cannot protect, basically. Throats are good. Yeah, great. Wow. Great. Right. See. Okay. Right. Okay. Great. Okay, so it's a really classic one. I like to do a lot with the ATEMI work, which is the Shihonai So it's got tons of ATEMI points in it as you do it. So think of a katatedori, so one-handed held. The first ATEMI is the one we tend to ignore in terms of when we do the technique. But if you think about like when we do Ikkyo and we go to that one, the intention of that, apart from, yes, if the person's not really switched on, I go for the head and I take the strike to the head. But it's really as a kind of distraction. It's to cause this kind of response that this hand is out of action, basically. So the same with this one. You're going to leave the arm where it is in that one. So that first movement's the same as the shihonage that you do naturally, normally, that one. But that hand now comes in and it's basically going to reach towards the head, right? And this is not a very powerful strike. So it's not a strike that I can actually apply much pressure with. It would never really do any serious harm. But the direction of it and basically coming up straight towards the face is going to cause this response, hopefully, if you do it in a very sharp way. So you're coming out to the side, the strike goes to the front. At the same time, I'm repositioning the body in that way. So it's going to allow me to drop onto the hand, basically. Yeah. Actually, quite a tricky attempt. I think it's why it's taken out, because it tends to distort the form. So a lot of these ATEMIs were taken out of the basic techniques because they had a tendency to kind of distort the form as you go into it. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, play with this like this. Also, later when you do this like kinonagari work, especially if you look at like the Ikkyo work, that ATEMI is either the ATEMI either disappears or it becomes like a kind of a bit more of a subtle gesture. So if you think about Uraken, it goes from being like in the Kihon this and this to something a bit more subtle, which can just be like a flick towards the head, or even just the hand kind of coming up, which causes generally this kind of response, right? So just play with this in the sense, rather than doing like I come here and then I go like wham with the body. Just think about this as a kind of gesture which is just going to kind of reach towards the face, and then I go to the hand. So it's to basically cause a response in the startle response, which goes put the person into this position so that they stop thinking really about what's going on in the hands. So you go towards the head. It's kind of a natural response to the body to start to try and recruit the hands to protect the head. So in this case, just think about a slight kind of roll out and coming back onto the wrist. And then at the end, the ATEMI is there to facilitate the finding of the grip. So it's to kind of mask that movement. So, yeah, that's it. So it's just this kind of flick out, and then I'm back onto it. If you want, you can also play with the Ikkyo one, because that's obviously an easier one. It feels it's a much more natural movement for the arm, because you're not going kind of in that direction, but it's that same kind of principle as you do it, that coming in and there. But it always needs some this kind of sharpness as well. That's yeah, great. Very nice. Okay, good. So the next one is the kick. So what you're going to do now, what we did before, that's kind of low kick. This one is going to go for the knee. So this is an ATEMI. Obviously, if you really apply this, you could really break the leg and you're the person like on the floor, right? You don't need the shihonage anymore. But in this case, the way we use it in a way is like to knock the leg so that the person gets rotated into this position. So it's used to facilitate the spiral work of the hand. So as you come here, you've got this, and as I pass that spiral through, that back leg comes in and it kicks out the knee, basically. Kicks the knee, and the aim is not really to take the knee out, which you could do obviously. It's to create this response in the body so that they can't. The aim of this is basically to distort the body and put that leg out of you so they can't kick you with it as you come through. Right? So just play with this. You can include the first one in as well there, but the key one now, you can also just forget that and just go straight to that. Find that spiral and then feel you plant that leg in, and then you're able to snap that leg in and back, basically. So it's really like a snap kick, which has a very specific target, which is like the side of the knee, basically. Yeah. Now you've got a choice in this case. if you think of this, I might not think always like I might not go through with the technique, or I might change the technique. So what I don't do is like commit to the shihonage too much, which basically means as I go to here, what I don't do is like kick, launch the weight forward, and then I'm trapped in the shihonage because the kick might miss, right? And I might need to change direction. So in this case, I go here, this, and I'm practicing that ability to snap the leg back also, because I might need the ability to switch the technique. Maybe take it to a 𝘥𝘰𝘦𝘴 or something like this, or 𝘮𝘰𝘯𝘪𝘩𝘦 or something else. So you can allow yourself to just kind of sink back into it. You've got to snap that, and then you can go into the shihonage. And if you feel the urge anytime, go through with the shihonage. Just follow it through. That's great. Great. That's it. Perfect. Yeah, nice. Okay, great. So there's obviously a final ATEMI, which is the one which goes towards the head as the person's down in the ground. This is like a killing blow, basically, to the head. So there's one in between, which again is to facilitate the kind of distortion of the body as you go through with the shihonage. So it's the elbow. So as you go here, as you find this pattern, as I get the spiral here, this is exposed. That elbow is really in a position where as I go through this way, I can really strike through with the elbow. So as you pass through there, and then you can come through to the technique. So you need to think you can separate the elbow strike. I go here, strike through, and then I pass through. Or you can do it in the movement itself, which is actually ideally where you want to go with it. So that as you come out with it, as you pass through that, and I'm basically in the technique already, right? So again, this is to distort the structure. So it's going to basically be aimed for the floating rib, maybe break one, but it's to really distort the structure and give you passage, safe passage through to the shihonage. So this is the elbow strike on the way through, basically. And again, if you want, you can mix in you've got the initial strike, you've got the kick, and you've got the elbow strike. You can include them all, basically. You probably only need one. It's a bit overkill, but anyway. Again, there's just kind of two focuses. Think of two things: that the strike is like embedded within the movement itself, and that you have an ability to change the body as well. So you're looking really balanced, basically, the ability to change position after the strike, or also during the strike as well. But shouldn't feel that I'm kind of locked into the technique in a sense. Yeah, nice, great. That's it. Choice. Okay. I don't have a knife, so I've got a choice. I can use the Clarion, what is that, recorder, or the firelight. I'll use the firelight. I think it's easier to see. So think of this like you've got basically the last one's really like you've got the either the wakizashi or the tanto. Tanto is probably going to be embedded somewhere in the body. But if you think about having the wakizashi or a knife base in the body, if you go through with this one, the last one, just show the last one. So as you come through, you're basically going to take them down. Shift to the camera. You've got them down in that position. This hand takes control of them, and then you've got basically the ability to draw the knife and basically stab through the body. So this last one that we do, although we do it empty-handed, we do it basically that, and we do it with the hand basically going towards the eyes, basically. But the let's say, original form of those would be that I pin the body down and I basically draw the knife and you're in a kind of throat slashing kind of movement, basically. It's really a kind of killer blow, but we do it in our case just to really control the person in that case. The strike's going towards the bridge of the nose, eyes. Again, it's basically used as a kind of control. Yeah, and if you've got a knife or something, you can also play with it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can also think if you do have a knife or anything, you can do it like a lot of the techniques make sense also as like weapon retention as well. So if you think about, I actually have a knife and someone's trying to control my arm. It's one of the reasons why someone will really grab your wrist, because I've actually got a weapon, or the ability, I've got the ability to draw a weapon. So you can think of this two ways, like the knife is actually on the body, where I'm gonna have the ability to draw it, or I actually have the knife already drawn, and then I need to be able to regain control of the weapon, basically, which I can't go into these kind of positions. I can't thrust with it, I can't stab with it, and I can't withdraw it. So I basically use these movements to be able to get back control of the arm that's got the knife, and then you've got the ability to use or not use the weapon. But the idea with this is that you have an ability to be able to take back control of the weapon, basically, the weapon arm. And the one reason for the grab would be to control that ability to use a weapon. Yeah. So, oh, that's it. Oh, it's got no gas. There we go. Yeah, nice. That's it. That's it. That's it. Oh, okay, great, good. Okay, just so last week we'll work with the weapons. So in a way, it's a little bit backwards because but we do a lot of weapon work anyway, so you guys are all familiar with it. So what we'll use the weapon now is basically to give a little bit of feedback on the structure as well. So kind of in one sense, it's an opposite way to use the system, but in another way, it's a way we're kind of working with the weapon again. It's going to add pressure and weight and all these kind of elements with the weapon, and also gives a kind of a bit more of intensity to it as well. So we'll just play first with the elbow strike. So don't use the jo in a way that we use it normally. Just take a grip with it. Just take a kind of loose grip with it, and just start to play with. So the elbow strikes, in the sense that we're doing this one. Think of that just connecting into the tip of the weapon. In the sense you kind of deliver power out of the tip of the weapon, using that same alignment through, and that's like kind of whipping force through the structure, or elastic release through the structure, and just think about a slight kick through out the end of the weapon, basically. And it's related obviously to all this kind of stuff we do with the figure of 8, all that kind of stuff that we do as warm-up stuff, but really in a sense training that dynamic all the time. So the core dynamic is the sourcing the movement in the ground and letting it channel through the hip and let it express out through the periphery, in this case the hand and the jo. Good. That's it. That's it. And then just play a little bit with the handwork. So the first thing is just play with the ability to slide the hands on the weapon. So you've got the ability to slide the hands down the weapon and basically roll with it this way. Oh, squeak it a little bit. Nice. Try not to squeak the jo. Just kind of soft contact and let the hip do the whipping kind of motion of it, the whipping part of it. Yeah, nice. And then play a little bit with the hand grip as well. So just allow the hands to kind of change direction, but basically working in basically feeding the hand down the weapon. Great. Great. Yeah, great, good. Very nice. Good. Okay, and then the last set, allow the jo to rotate through the hands as well. So you're really thinking, really the thought is like looking at hasa kind of work. So if you think about the like the 10th kumijo, where you're doing this kind of complex hasa, this kind of work, just play with this now. So it's allowing the jo to basically roll through and basically allow yourself to whip out that contact again. So taking it to those kind of elbow moves, but that sense you're kind of whipping that movement out of the body through that contact with the arm to the jo. And allow yourself to really play with rolling the jo through and applying the contact out, applying the weight out. Yeah. If you feel any of the movements come up, just follow them. See where they go. Very nice. Great. Okay, good. Okay, great. So we'll look at in a way, there's a kind of progression with this, or just a kind of branching off of this kind of quality in the body. So same quality, same skill, just applied differently. So go to the idea now like a block. So we're really used to blocking with the jo. So if you think about any of these blocks where I'm basically able to roll underneath the weapon, or I'm able to roll with a block this way, like Gedangashi, but anything where I'm basically using this kind of same spiral path through the body to, in this case, think about blocking. So any time these kind of basic movements this way, you're using this kind of spiraling path, and you're using that part of the jo, usually that section of the jo, to block basically. So just play with it. You've got tons of movements with the jo where you're doing that. And if you want to include any strikes with it, just don't follow them, but focus on this kind of rolling receiving of the jo. Yeah, that's it. Great. Yeah, nice. If you get kind of stuck a little bit, just think about like the 31 jo or the 13 that's full of these kind of blocking positions. Really use the body to wedge, spiral through the jo. That's it. Right. So again, the kind of beauty of the spiral work, in a sense, is that the power application is, in a sense, always there, right? So one of the problems we got with this is that the tendency when we learn these movements also is like, I go here and then I do this kind of movement, right? I focus on the contact point and kind of snapping it in the same way the jo, kind of go da, 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 and I kind of snap against it. I go here and I snap against it. Now, what you think that is part of it, in a sense, because there is a point, there's a flexion point where I need the body to be kind of kicking behind it. But think of the whole movement as you do these, really as a kind of coiling, winding of the structure, and all of it is power basically. All of it is the same connection work, power through the structure. The best way to think about this is also think about someone's on the other end of the weapon, so they're kind of holding it, and you want to create a spiral through their structure as well. So at the end of the day, you're trying to generate that spiral in your body and express it out the weapon and into the other person, into the other person's body. Yes, great. Some of them are a little bit trickier than others to find that spiral pathway, but it's always going to be there in some element, maybe a little bit more subtle than others. Yes, great. Nice. Great. And then the same thing, very much related, but think about the movements we make when we're controlling and neutralizing. So it has a different quality or a different intention in the body. built on the same dynamics and the same connective work, and definitely spiral work in this case. But just think about the times when we're using the jo to basically find a control on the body and to neutralize the person. So generally going to be a bit closer with the weapon. You're using the weapon as a control. You can think about if you think especially about the second set of Kamijo exercises, so the 6 to 10, they're all working basically a neutralization finish in the end. So think about that kind of feeling. And you can also think about really simple ones like just controlling the elbow pin into the body. And what kind of movement would that require to do that, to kind of pin the body up basically, or to tangle the body up. So just play with those a little bit. And same connective work, same kind of spiraling issues, just a slightly different application of that pattern. So great, very nice. That's so great. Great. Okay. And then last couple of minutes, just play with all 3 levels. So it would be, in an ideal world, I would be have enough skill to be able to constantly neutralize the person, right? So I wouldn't need to go to these strikes, and I wouldn't need to go to the blocking movement. So I would just go, oh, I'll be able to fold straight onto the body and neutralize them, and wow, everything's fine, right? But real life, everything's messy. So you're probably going to need to use a mixture of all of them. It's the same with the ATEMI work. Like I wish I could just go to neutralization straight away on contact would be the ideal situation, but just play with the idea that you can also find the strikes, basically combine them. You've got blocking work and then neutralization work. Now, in terms of progression work, we're generally working like strikes to blocks to controls, or just going from a block to a control, or ideally just straight into the neutralization straight away. But the ability to can shift from one to the other is a kind of crucial skill in a sense. That's really explored with those last Kamijo and the Kentai Jo. Great. Okay. Okay. Great. So we'll stop there. The other place you can explore, which maybe we'll do another time, is basically the mixture between using the Jo and using the hands and the elbows and the kicks and all that kind of stuff. So you can really mix them in there. If you imagine like being in a situation where you've got the weapon, you can choose to use it, or you can choose to not use it. You can choose to use the arms, right? So you've got a choice whether you use it or not. So if you want to play with that, I would also give that a go, because it's a nice exercise that follows on from this directly. So okay, we will stop there anyway. So great. Domo arigato gozaimashita.
Domo arigato gozaimashita. Thank you.
Here we go.